Hey everybody, thanks for stopping in and getting an update here. We're kind of on the fly. Wanted to let you know within the last 4 to 5 minutes, Hurricane Zeta made landfall as a Category 2 hurricane, winds at 110 miles an hour, just 1 mile shy of a major Category 3 hurricane. So we're going to fly by the seat of our pants here, you guys. We thought we'd had a little bit more time to watch this, but it has made landfall according to the National Hurricane Center. And again, a very powerful Category 2, right on the threshold of a major Category 3. So what we're going to try and do in these next couple of minutes is get you updated. I have some of these graphics that I've been working on updated. Now this will transition from this storm surge wind event to a widespread wind power outage event in the next 24 to 36 hours. So it's going to be a long night for a lot of folks across Louisiana and the southeastern coast of the United States, but also across many parts of the southeast, because this system is already moving super fast, and it's going to be transitioning into an extra tropical or a gale force low, and it is going to be accelerating quickly. The downside to that is that it's going to be having the capacity to interact with a lot of more people with winds holding together, because it came in as a strong Cat 2, low on the threshold of a Cat 3. So the potential is there for it to affect many more people with much more powerful winds. All right, Matt, so if you're going to give me I see Aaron there off my screen. Is he good to go? He is in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Can he hear us, or are you still working on him? Okay, so we'll come to Aaron in just a second. Aaron, by the way, you guys, has been tracking Zeta all day today. You may have seen some of his own video on his own channel, and we've been trying to share it on our YouTube channel and on our social media pages as well. But let me show you the app first, and we'll take a look at that. So again, landfall was at officially, let me make sure I get this right, so I apologize, let me turn around. At Cocodrie, Louisiana, the landfall was just after 4 p.m. local time. So again, probably about 7 to 8, 9 minutes ago, the official landfall being called from the National Hurricane Center. As we look at the app, I'm going to take this on and switch this over to our PER station, and we'll take a look at some of the things going on here. And let me toggle off the hurricane tracker layer, because I want to see clearly what's been going on. This may take it a second to populate the data. I'm not sure why we're not seeing it here. Let's try that. There we go. Okay, so you can see that the eye itself, the northern eye wall, very clear in the center part of our screen, just south and east of Houma, Louisiana. And then it's really, again, near Cocodrie, Louisiana, is where we got the official landfall. So that northern eye wall coming on shore as we speak, a little ragged in presentation. As I zoom this out a little bit, you can see not that perfect donut on the south side of the eye wall. It's open, it's exposed, but again, the Hurricane Center has been unbelievably telling us about this hurricane getting stronger at landfall, and that was the exact opposite of what we were anticipating. We talked about this yesterday, that the cooler sea surface temperatures there along the coastal areas of Louisiana would likely inhibit any strengthening, but that was not the case. There was also some southwest shear ahead of this, but Zeta defying all odds and strengthening throughout the day today. The only silver lining, like I mentioned, is that southern eye wall is exposed. You can see it in that last imagery there. But again, don't let that minimize the fact that we are still talking about winds of 110 miles an hour in that northeastern eye wall. And the storm surge anywhere in Port Sulphur, and then back towards Dolphin Island in Mobile Bay, and even in New Orleans. Let me pull this out a little bit. We're talking about a storm surge of 6 to 9 feet. So extremely dangerous. And look at that. If I pull that out, and you can see Lake Pontchartrain up to the north. You can see, let me zoom in so you can see it right there. And then I'm going to pull back out. I apologize, we can't telestrate when we show you this, but you see Lake Pontchartrain, and look at that eye. That is going to go right over Lake Pontchartrain in these next couple of hours, right over downtown New Orleans. And New Orleans has not seen a direct impact of a major hurricane since Katrina. Now, again, this is technically a Category 2, but right on the threshold of a Category 2 to a Category 3. So, we're talking about an extremely serious situation. Of course, they have levees all across the New Orleans area. They are below sea level. They've prepared for this. They have an infrastructure in place to handle flooding, but they still are going to flood. Okay, so it sounds like we've got Aaron Jack with us, and Aaron, I know you're in Bay St. Louis. Tell me what's going on, and an official landfall here. We thought we'd have a little bit more time, but Zeta just racing up into Louisiana right now.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure, can you hear me all right?
Okay, so I don't hear him, Matt.
Yeah, I was worried about sound. I can hear you guys.
Okay, well, I've got AirPods on, so I can't hear Aaron. But Aaron, you talk, and then I'll just talk when you're done.
Okay, well, so I'm here in Bay St. Louis. I'm hiding out in the car right now on the coast. We've had these bands, outer bands, have been coming across here in Bay St. Louis. Now, landfall has happened there to the southeast in Louisiana. I'll step outside of the vehicle here. You see the ocean. It's getting quite angry here. The Gulf's getting quite angry. We've got big waves have been flying up here for the last several hours. Really picking up now. The wind's really picking up. Starting to come up the surge. You can see the surge starting to come up. So I do expect surge in this area. That's why I'm kind of targeting this area. I expect the surge to come up here 6 to 9 feet, maybe more. So I'm going to stay as long as I can and then have to retreat back. I think we lost.
Okay, yeah, I can't. Oh, we did. Okay, yeah, I can't hear anything. So we apologize. You guys were trying to do this stuff on the fly. Apparently, we lost Aaron's connection, which isn't unusual in a landfalling hurricane. You know, we're trying to do a lot of things at one time. Technology doesn't always want to cooperate with us. So if we get Aaron back, we'll see what he's doing. I know that he is intercepting in Bay St. Louis, which is one of the areas that we're concerned about with the storm surge. Again, Bay St. Louis below sea level, and the concern is that surge of anywhere 4 to 6 feet is going to come in and create some serious inundation as we get into these next couple hours. Remember, the storm surge comes ahead of a landfalling hurricane. So the water has already been rising in Bay St. Louis, parts of Mobile Bay and Alabama, and then of course back in Louisiana, we've already seen the rise come up with the storm surge, but it stays for hours. So, the fact that it's coming in and it came in at landfall at 4 p.m. Central, there's still 7 more hours of daylight. So that's actually a good thing because that gives people more time to, assess the situation where they are. But remember, if you stayed in place and last night when you went to bed, this was a tropical storm and you woke up to a rapidly intensified hurricane, because technically that's what this did. In 24 hours, it went from a tropical storm to a Cat 2 hurricane down to a Cat 1 and then landfall at a strong Cat 2, low Cat 3, depending on who you talk to. Flight level winds with Zeta were Category 3, but you have to take off about 10% of the flight level winds to come down to a surface wind. But at any rate, a very strong Category 2. So if folks sheltered in place, unfortunately, it is too dangerous for crews to get out and help because, the winds are above the tropical storm strength and the crews cannot get out and try and help people. 911 always gets inundated in a landfalling tropical system. So, unfortunately, that is the case. And hopefully folks got out of harm's way because this intensified and defied the odds and defied the intensity track. The Hurricane Center, by the way, even in their discussions was saying that they were on the high end of the intensity forecast, which again, I talk about this all the time when we have a landfalling cyclone. The intensity forecast is our weakest link. Even though we have all of these tools at our resources, and the hurricane does, they get samplings of the atmosphere. We see all of the sea surface temperatures. We're constantly getting data from the hurricane hunters. These tropical cyclones can still defy the odds, still defy meteorological intellect and do what they want. And so this hurricane got stronger, not weaker, at landfall. So Matt, I know you're punching buttons back there. If you can punch up WSI full screen, I want to take a look at that. And I'll stay on WSI for a while, and you can mess around with some other stuff. But let's pull up WSI full screen real quick, and we'll take a look. So this is the 5 radars that I've got sweeping across Louisiana and the Gulf Coast, and underneath that I've got the warnings toggled on. We'll get to those in just a second. But again, our landfall, let me grab my pointer. Right in here, you can still see the openness of the eye. So the eyes, let me actually draw it for you, because that might even be a little better. So the eye is right about here. Oh, I picked the wrong color. Gosh, hang on. Let me go back to this. I got to change color palettes real quick. Let's see. It may not let me do it on the fly here. Let me try. Oh, there we go. Okay, just bear with me 1 second. I don't want to yellow on yellow because you're not going to be able to see the eye. Okay, that should work. Okay, so the eye itself, right in here. So as I mentioned, and that, of course, that's not perfect to scale, but you can see that it's open-ended on the back side of it. You know, we're crossing over radars, so there's going to be some misses here in the resolution of what we're seeing on the outer peripheral. The reception of the radar beam. But again, it is open-ended a little bit there on the radar. So, but you can see it clearly on the radar now that it's gotten over Louisiana. And as we head through these next several hours, these are the bands that I'm concerned with. These feeder bands, these tropical bands, they're going to rotate on shore. There is a tornado watch up until 10. I think it's midnight local time. I apologize, not 10. And these bands are going to rotate on shore super, super quickly. So we're going to see a lot of spin-ups. The radar is going to think there's rotating thunderstorms, and there likely will be. Whether they reach the ground or not is going to be the harder scenario to depict, because we're talking about such a fast-moving hurricane, and the fact that the storms are already rotating makes it that much difficult. So I expect to see several tornado warnings. We've already seen several today, and as we head into the next several hours, we'll be talking about that as well. Matt, I don't know if you have. I don't see in Wirecast, but if you have the kite surfers, no, not the ice storm, but I'm looking for the kite surfer video that's in SharePoint. Okay, we'll go to that in just a second, but let me switch advances here. So we'll toggle on the velocity radar, or the velocity mode, and we'll take a look. And let me zoom down into New Orleans and see what we see, and then we'll kind of switch. And actually, I believe I was on Mobile's radar because it was actually showing me more. Let me pull this back out a second. Yeah, so we go. Okay, I'll get to that in 1 second. So at the moment, I'm not seeing any couplets, but I do expect to see that as we head into these next several hours. You know, we've definitely got some rotation here south of Homa. Let me show you that right in here. That brightness, that bright pink, but of course that's with a landfalling hurricane, so that's not what we'd call a couplet. That's just the fact that the larger circulation of Zeta is actually rotating, and the radar picks up on that. So I don't see any couplets or anything that would indicate severe weather at the moment. But let me show you some of the video that Aaron shot earlier today. This is in Bay St. Louis. This was just a couple of hours ago. I think it was right around lunchtime that Aaron fed this into us, and the kite surfers were out, living large, doing what kite surfers do and taking advantage of those increased winds. The winds were around 25 miles an hour, I think, at this particular moment. So they were having a good old time, but it's certainly not something that officials recommend. Most people were supposed to be off the streets and certainly not in the waters there, trying to enjoy what Mother Nature was dishing out. But nonetheless, these guys enjoying some good weather thanks to Zeta. So as we look at the loop here, here's a look at, and let me zoom in. This is really great. You can see the eye very clearly. I was talking about this last night when we did our live update around 10 p.m., 11 p.m. I was noticing that, I saw a burst of convection on the south side and the southwest side of Zeta, and I was mentioning that, I was wondering if this was going to try to re-strengthen. It certainly looked like it was trying to fire, and that's certainly what we saw. And the fear was that it would continue to strengthen today and get into a Cat 2 and right on the threshold of a Cat 3. If we had probably just 1 hour more, this would have made the threshold of a Category 3 hurricane, but thankfully that wasn't the case. But Cat 2 is bad enough. But let's take a look at that eye. So you can see its raggedness. It's about 30 miles across, if you could do a cross section of it. And I'll pull up in here. We'll zoom way down. And let me stop that last loop right there. And again, you can kind of, I think, is that the last one? Yeah. So you can see the raggedness of the eye. This is not what we would call a well-defined eye, where we would see that perfect round donut that I often use as an analogy because it's such a well-defined inner eye wall. So there's some rigidity here, some lack of banding features, or a concentric circle, a well-defined smooth circle. But nonetheless, the winds right here, you guys, are the winds that are 110 miles an hour right in here. and then gusting higher than that. Some of the buoys off the coast of Louisiana have already been reporting. Now, remember, the buoys are a couple of, the weather stations there are a couple thousand feet, not the buoys, but the weather stations are a couple thousand feet off the surface, and they've been reporting winds around 130. So you would take off that 10 to 15% to get to a surface wind. So the winds easily have been gusting around 100 miles an hour offshore. And I do have the live wind speeds. So let's take a look at those. This is from within the last hour. So oh gosh, a lot of them are out, but I had a bunch of them toggled on and they were working. But of course, it looks like several of them are out. Let me see if I can edit this on the fly. I'm on gusts. And let me see if I can switch this over to what am I on? Let's take a look. Well, I'm taking a look. You guys can take a look here in a second, but I'm actually going to edit this on the fly and see if I can get some real-time data. Yeah, that's the wind speed. So let me go to the current live wind and see if that gives us a little more data. You have to have the, yeah, I'll get a little bit more data there. Not much. So you should see here in a second, if it's going to play ball with me, that the current winds here are in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 miles an hour, 28 mile per hour wind within this last hour in New Orleans, 23 in Galliano, South Marsh 15, and then interestingly enough, Galveston has 20, but these are again in sustained winds. These are not the gusts which that banner says, and that says Delta, so that's also wrong. So this is Zeta. So like I said, we were still in the process of trying to clean up all of our maps when we got the call from the Hurricane Center that landfall had happened. So we jumped on here. So I apologize, there's some error in the graphics, but the data is accurate. So the winds there are definitely real time, and Biloxi reporting a sustained wind of 16 miles an hour. It's 21 miles sustained wind in Mobile, and an 18 mile per hour sustained wind in Pensacola. So here's the infrared presentation of Zeta, and again, an impressive, whoops, why did it do that? Hang on one second. Okay, it looks like I lost the data on that. Yeah, I lost the data. Okay, so I will go past that and come back to it in just a bit. But there's the official path. This is the updated path from the National Hurricane Center. So the winds, again, sustained at 110. As you look at the path, it's unbelievable the amount of geography that Zeta is going to move over in just a course of 24 hours. So right now, it's just coming on shore in southeastern Louisiana. And in 24 hours or less, it's going to be in the Carolinas. And that has prompted tropical storm warnings well inland. Atlanta, Georgia, parts of western South Carolina, western North Carolina, including Asheville and part of the Blue Ridge Mountains there are currently under a tropical storm warning. So that just kind of indicates to you the rapid movement of this hurricane, but it's still going to maintain some of its punch. So you kind of get a good and a bad case scenario. The good scenario for Louisiana is it's going to be out of your state quicker than not. But the bad news is it's going to be bringing in very fast-moving conditions in a short period of time. So one of the questions that I saw from one of our YouTube subscribers was, does the rate of the movement of Zeta have anything to do with its intensity? And it does not. But what it does do is the fact that the core of the hurricane is moving so quickly, it will allow it to cross more state lines, more county lines, impact more states, multi-states, as opposed to a slower moving hurricane that would perhaps very quickly weaken. So obviously Zeta will weaken now that it's moving on shore. It's just, again, moving across southeastern Louisiana right now, but it will weaken. But the fact that it's moving so fast, around 20 miles an hour, at 21, 22 miles an hour, will allow it to impact Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas, and maintain some of those hurricane gusts. So I am anticipating a lot of power outages tomorrow. Millions of people. I mean, a lot of people. You may recall Hurricane Michael. This isn't a Hurricane Michael hurricane. That was a Category 5. This is a Category 2. But Hurricane Michael was also being steered by a cold front and was being steered very rapidly. So the wind field stayed together well past the landfall in Mexico Beach, Florida, in the Florida Panhandle. Parts of Georgia had substantial damage. Parts of the Carolinas, South Carolina in particular, had substantial tree damage. Because remember, the wind's aloft. You're not at the surface. You go up 1,000 feet. You're talking about, you're adding on another 5% maybe of the wind. So some of these really high, these really tall trees, and some of the big pines that are in this area of the country, they are going to be falling susceptible to these winds, and that means falling on power lines and falling on houses potentially, and roof damage and car damage. So I do think this is going to be a wind event for many millions of people between now and tomorrow, and we're not going to remember Zeta so much from a hurricane standpoint, but from a wind standpoint, because I think the fact that it's being picked up by this cold front, and it's going to be a hybrid by tomorrow, a gale, kind of like a gale low, and this and this tropical low, and it's combining with this cold front, will allow it to impact many more people than it would if this was a traditional true tropical hurricane. So I do think that there's going to be a lot more people impacted by Zeta. Hopefully we will get minimal damage, as we head into tomorrow, but it's going to be a fast event. So by tomorrow night, 24 hours from now, we expect it to be in the Carolinas. So it is ripping across the southeast. So there's a look at the watches and warnings. The green is obviously flash flood watches. The purple is the tropical storm warnings, as I mentioned, goes all the way up into the Carolinas. The hurricane warning through a big chunk of southeastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and extreme western Florida Panhandle. Tropical storm warnings, again, that huge chunk of real estate. And let me actually pull that up, because it may even include, parts of Virginia as well. So, and I wouldn't be surprised to see if we got that extended a little further east. I don't know if that's going to meet the criteria for tropical storm winds tomorrow, that we would be talking about the Delmarva. We're talking, the path takes it off of Delaware by tomorrow night into Friday. So we'll see if the Hurricane Center or the National Weather Services upgrade that to what would be a tropical storm threshold. But the fact that we're talking about so many states here that are going to be with sustained tropical storm force winds, and we're not even talking about gusts, these are sustained winds, is a big problem. Okay, so let me back this up, because I haven't even cleaned this one up since today. So let's see if it's going to let me do it. It doesn't look like I can manipulate the camera angle, but you guys get the point. Let me back this up. So there, of course, the red cylinder there is the sustained winds of minimally 74. So 74 to 110, give or take, is what we're expecting as we head through these next several hours. And then as we head into the late night hours, you still see we have hurricane force winds that skirt right to on the north and west side of Biloxi, Mississippi. But the tropical storms, sustained tropical storm force winds, do cross parts of Pascagoula, Bay St. Louis, where Aaron is, Biloxi, and then just on the outer fringes of Mobile Bay there, you can see in Alabama, those tropical storm force winds up to 39 to 57, even into the Florida Panhandle. And then we see the disk, the wind radii, shrink as we head through the overnight, but still maintaining even through 2 a.m. just south of Birmingham, Alabama, tropical storm gusts for sure. And notice how it's elongated. The actual circle you'll see is loaded more on the south and the southeast side of the hurricane. So this isn't a model, by the way. This is an actual product that the National Hurricane Center puts out. It's a forecast, but it's not based on model data. It's based on them plotting out the hurricane over the next 3 days. So even as we get into tomorrow, still have a little small cylinder there up in the Blue Ridge Mountains there on the extreme fringes, way up by Boone and into Blowing Rock, and even into Banner Elk, North Carolina, even into parts of the Tri-Cities area that looks like they're going to be just on the east side of those tropical storm force winds. And that doesn't happen there often. There's going to be some orographic lift there with the mountains. So we could be seeing big power outages tomorrow. Then it scoots over Virginia, right over Delaware in the Delmarva area, still holding together. And then the winds field, look at that expanding. Even though it's going to be 39 to 57, it's going to be extra tropical by then. And just skirting south of Nantucket there, maybe we're going to see some tropical storm force winds there, and then it moves out to sea after that. But boy, it's going to be a lot of areas that are going to be under Zeta's direct crosshairs between now and tomorrow night. There's a look at the storm surge, anywhere from 4 to 8 feet, and this actually needed to be updated because it's actually 4 to 9 feet is what we're anticipating in this area. And this also needs to be updated a bit, but it's close to being accurate. So 1 to 3 feet in New Iberia, Tahoma, down into Grand Isle, and then back over towards New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, again, 4 to 6 feet. We think the largest surge will be in that Dauphin Island area. 5 to 9 is the storm surge, very dangerous storm surge at 5 to 9. Mobile Bay, about 3 to 5. Over into Florida now, Pensacola, Panama City, 2 to 4 feet, and then 1 to 3 over by the Big Bend, down closer to Cedar Key and Yankeetown. So a lot of geography, a lot of folks are going to feel the impacts. The storm surge will come in and has come in quickly. It will continue to rise quickly as we head into these next several hours. And then this product is the anticipated rain accumulation. I haven't even updated this one either, but I can tell you that the estimates from the National Weather Service offices has been in the range of 2 to 4 inches. So we're going to certainly be hitting that, if not more so, as we head into the next several hours and into tomorrow's. But again, because the fast pace of Zeta, folks that get the rain are not going to get it for long. Couple hours as opposed to a 6 to 10 hour rain event. We're talking a 2 to 3 rain hour event, and then it's out of there and it's moved on to the next area. So again, the nature of this hurricane, I got to tell you, in this part of the world, this part of the country, you just don't see these types of strong hurricanes at the end of October. It's just been unbelievable. This is the 5th named storm Louisiana has gotten this year, 3rd hurricane. They got major Hurricane Laura. We got Delta, and now, of course, they're dealing with Zeta, and they saw 2 tropical storms as well. I think Tropical Storm Beta was one of them, and I don't recall the other one, but the 5 named storms in Louisiana alone. This is the 11th named storm to make landfall in the United States. So just unbelievable. Just scratch your head. I can't believe that this is the 2020 hurricane season, but it has been. And we're still not done. We still have another month, and we still could see more. So a quick look at the lower 48. You can see that, but one of the main steering factors with Zeta is that powerful cold front. We've been showing you the video of the frozen rain. And Matt, let me know if we get Aaron or somebody, and we'll try and take them. I don't see him off screen. Okay, so we're gonna get something from Aaron pre-record, and we'll turn it back around for you guys. But at any rate, we've been talking about this major ice storm that's been moving through Texas, Oklahoma, and into New Mexico. So that cold front has just been catapulting Zeta towards the north, and now it's going to rapidly move with that frontal boundary, kind of merge together and not become a super hurricane. A lot of people say, "Oh, is this going to be super Sandy?" No. This is not super Hurricane Sandy. This is a case where there is a powerful cold front, a strong cold front digging into the southeastern U.S., a tropical low, or a hurricane in this case, meeting up with it, and it's going to help accelerate and move Zeta very quickly towards the mid-Atlantic by tomorrow. So let me pull this back up to the radar, because I wanted to take a look at that. Because I think the rest of the maps that I have in there are actually maps that are not directly germane to what we're looking at right now. So here is, again, a look at the radar. Let me come all the way down in here. And luckily, you guys, at least I'm not seeing any severe weather warnings at the moment. So that's good. We did have a couple of tornado warnings earlier today. I'm going to toggle on the rain rates on some of these bands and see what we get. So the one there is about 1.5 inches an hour. And then let me see, let me come over here, south of New Orleans, about 7/10. Some of these bands over that are going to rotate onto Mississippi coastline, about 6/10 of a rain rate an hour. So definitely some heavy rain expected over these next couple of hours. And then, as I mentioned, the good news to all of this is you will be done with what Zeta has to deal out to you sooner than later. But it's going to be rough for several hours. So another look there, and you can see the tornado watch that is up until midnight local time, I believe. And let's see if we see anything interesting. Nope, just checking to see if I see any type of severe weather, but I do think that there will be an instance for that. I do see a tornado warning up here. Let's take a look. So this is in the extreme northwestern part of Florida. Let me see if I can get the data on it here for you. Well, that's velocity. I wasn't looking at that. Let me take that off, and let me see if I can query the where this is. Okay, there we go. So a tornado warning is in effect for Escambia County for with the storms moving north at 40 miles an hour, 7 miles south of Atmore. This was a radar indicated rotation, and this is in effect until, let's see, Escambia, until 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that would be another 9 minutes or so. So that, again, that moving towards the north at 40 miles an hour, just ripping towards the north, you guys. A lot of times the radar will think it sees rotation, and it does see rotation, but it's the larger circulation from the thunderstorm that's not actually reaching down to the surface, but that certainly is a possibility. Okay, so we got some video. Aaron just shot something for us, so we're going to play that now, and he'll get you updated. This was just delivered to us just a couple of minutes ago. Here's Aaron J. Jack, the MyRadar storm chaser in Bay St. Louis.
I'm currently here in Bay St. Louis, where Hurricane Zeta is making landfall to the southeast in Louisiana. But here in Mississippi, we're getting the outer bands. The angry Gulf here is throwing waves up high here. Rain coming down. Strong winds starting here. We're just getting started. The rest of the evening, hurricane force winds should be starting to come ashore here now. We're getting tropical storm force winds. Well, those hurricane force winds aren't too far away. Angry seas right now. We're just getting started here. Maybe another hour, 45 minutes to an hour until high wall reaches this location in Bay St. Louis. Back to you, Leslie. I'm currently here in...
Okay, Aaron, thank you so much. Boy, it is ripping there. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, you guys, is not only the fact that southern Louisiana is dealing with this hurricane, there is a big temperature contrast headed your way. You may have seen that, Aaron, in long sleeves and in wearing a beanie, because it's cold, you guys. So, to add insult to injury, you got this hurricane coming, and then tomorrow you're going to have this stark temperature contrast. It's already chillier there now, but it's going to be significantly colder tomorrow, and a lot of people will be without power. So the 1-2 punch of Zeta is going to be the widespread power outages that they get. And it's going to be significantly cooler across the southeastern U.S., so people will not have access to their heaters and will not have access to their solar. Well, their solar systems will probably work, but their home infrastructure that helps keep them warm during winter. So that means that there will probably be a lot of generators going, and hopefully people will be following the guidelines to those, because unfortunately a lot of times people will put their generators in their garages and will close the door, which is a lethal combination. You have to have those in well circulated areas so they can breathe, if you will, and those dangerous fumes don't get concentrated in one area. So, unfortunately, it could be a dangerous situation, because not only will there be widespread power outages tonight and especially tomorrow, but you're going to be colder, significantly colder in the southeast as this front rips across towards the east. So let me jump on YouTube, because we actually have one of our first super chat participants, and this is one of our longest time supporters. And Sandy, I don't know when you put this on here, but I just now I'm seeing this. So Sandy Rose has donated to our super chat, and let me tell you real quick what that is. So the super chat is kind of puts you at the front of the line. So if you have a question that you want us to see very easily, and you have a well pronounced hand that sometimes can get lost in a big classroom when we're looking at Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, we're looking at all these at the same time. An easy way that you can get to the front of the line, if you will, and ask your questions, or in this case, Sandy showing her support, is to donate to the super chat. And what's great about that is that all the money goes to Feeding America, which is a nonprofit organization that will help victims of natural disasters. So I thank you, Sandy, for being at least my first super chat donor. I don't know if anyone else has donated on YouTube. We just got that capability on our channel, I think, in the last 2 days. So thank you so much for that, Sandy. We really appreciate it. And let's see if we've got anywhere that's got any questions. I'm just going to scroll up here. Water temperature. Okay, where is it? Oh, I can... Facebook. Let me look real quick. Oh yeah, I can't read the Wirecast one. Even with my glasses, it's way too small. And I even think the youngins, I think Mike and Stephanie can't read the Wirecast. It's too small. But I can kind of see it here on my laptop. Who's the person? That's the question. Oh, do you already know, do the what? Wait, okay, so is this Max? Did you already do the water temperatures? No, I didn't. So I can go back to that, Max. I don't even think I have that in my show, but I can load it up real quick for you. So that was the other anomaly here that that did not verify. So we were talking about the sea surface temperatures being a benefit in keeping Zeta a little weaker, but that was not the case. The water temperatures here, without a doubt, are cooler. You can see them here. I'll toggle a few of them on. 82 on either side of Zeta, and even down a little further south, 84, 85, and then of course in the central Gulf, they're warmer, 86. Had all this warm water to feed off. I'm just going to go on either side of the path because this is what it was feeding off of today. So 86, 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Didn't get up into the 82, the cooler waters until these last few hours. But it was just amazing for me to see that usually in a typical tropical cyclone, you would see the impacts, especially one that's being interjected by a cold front. So I was really expecting to see a Zeta, a plateau, around a strong Cat 1. I was really surprised to see it on presentation on infrared and reading all the drop sound data from the hurricane hunters that the pressure was going down, and that correlates to an increase in the winds. And, the flight level winds were indicating Category 3 winds. Surface winds were indicating Category 2 winds. So it was really, really surprising because this is very atypical, not usual, not anticipated in a storm like this. Usually, these cooler sea surface temperatures inhibit and level off the development, but Zeta defied those odds and got stronger. So, that just goes to show you when Mother Nature